Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Goloka Dham Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Canto 10, Chapter 52, text number 35. And we're going to read 35 and 36 today. Yatastvam agato durgam nistiryeha yad ichaya sarvam no bruyaguyam chet kim karyam karavamate. Yatastvam agato durgam nishtiryeha yad ichaya sarvam no bruyaguyam chet kim karyam karavamate. Yatastvam agato durgam nistiryeha yad ichaya sarvam no bruyaguyam chet kim karyam karavamate. Anybody else? Yatastvam agata durgam nistiryam yad ichaya sarvam no bruyam guyam ched kim karyam karavam. Yataha, from which place? Tvam, you. Agataha, have come. Durgam, the impassable sea. Nistirya, crossing. Iha, here. Yat, with what? Ichaya, desire. Sarvam, everything. Na, to us. Bruhi, please tell. Aguyam, not secret. Chet, if. Kim, what? Karyam, work. Karavama, may we do. Te, for you. Translation. Whence have you come, crossing the impassable sea, and for what purpose? Explain all of this to us if it is not a secret, and tell us what we may do for you. Please repeat. Whence have you come, crossing the impassable sea, and for what purpose? Explain all this to us if it is not a secret, and tell us what we may do for you. So this is Krishna talking to the Brahmana messenger of Rukmini. And there's just a one or two sentence commentary by Jiva Goswami. He asks if it is a secret out of politeness. Please tell me what I can do for you, or what can I do for you? This expresses his affection for the Brahmana. Text 36. Evam samprishta samprashno brahmana parameshtina lila grihita dehina tasmai sarvam avarnayat. Thus questioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who incarnates to perform his pastimes, the Brahmana told him everything. Purport. The word grihita may be translated as grasped or caught, and thus, exactly as in English, may also mean to perceive or understand something. Therefore, Lord Krishna's transcendental body is perceived, understood, or in other words, grasped by the devotees when the Lord comes to exhibit his transcendental pastimes. These pastimes are not whimsical, but are part of the complex program structured and executed by the Lord himself for awakening the conditioned souls to their natural love and devotion for him and bringing them back to Godhead. And commentaries. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, if you have any questions to ask me, please ask. Saying this, the Brahmana was asked questions by Krishna, who accepts his body as his own by the agency of Leela Shakti. And Jiva Goswami, he was asked by the Lord, who had all knowledge, Parameshtina. The cause of the Lord asking is that he manifests a human form for human pastimes, or he has a body served by pastimes. This means he is absorbed in pastimes by his own will, since the pastimes are so wonderful. The Brahmana directly described his execution of Dharma and his purpose in coming through Rukmini's words in the following verses. Sridhar Swami says that he simply delivered the letter as is described in verse 44. There are three types: Amitartha, self-appointed; Nisritartha, appointed; and Patrahara, message bearer. The message bearer simply carries a message expressing the love of one member of the couple. The Brahmana acted mainly in this capacity. So I'll read the two translations again of text 35 and 36. Whence have you come, crossing the impassable sea? And for what purpose? Explain all this to us as if it is not a secret, and tell us what we may do for you. Thus questioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who incarnates to perform his pastimes, the Brahmana told him everything. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamshcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mantrakalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I offer my obeisances to all the assembled devotees and ask your blessings to speak on this verse, these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So 3 points that I would like to touch upon on these verses is, one is Krishna comes down to show the culture of the spiritual world, this beautiful culture that he's expressing through the mood of service to the brahmanas and the devotees. The second point is how Krishna, even though he knows everything, he wants to hear from the words of Rukmini and the brahmana, their expressions of devotion. Even though he could have just said, I already know why you came, let's go, right? But he wanted to hear the brahmana speaking, he wanted to hear Rukmini speaking through the letter, because Krishna enjoys hearing the expressions of love of his devotees. And the third point is the Lila Shakti potency of the Lord, how Krishna willingly puts himself under the Lila Shakti potency so that he can enjoy his pastimes. He pretends he doesn't know things, even though he's all cognizant. So those are the three points that stood out to me from these 2 verses. So the first one, Mother Urmila also touched upon on Monday, that Krishna, he shows this culture, and it's not a culture of a certain country or place. It's a culture of the spiritual world, because it's the culture of selflessness, of service, of respect. And when we're reading these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, or when we're reading the scriptures, I'm talking to myself to pay attention to these aspects of the culture, because then we can apply them in our lives and try to develop that mood also. Because ultimately we want to go to that world where there is no envy, where there is just a mood of service. So if we start to develop that mood even in this world, then this is very, very important. The culture of etiquette, the culture of respect. So Krishna, first thing he did was he came off of his throne, he greeted the brahmana, he worshipped him, he made sure he had eaten and rested, he massaged his feet, he asked him with sweet words, how he was doing, how his duties were going, how the king was treating the citizens. And finally, after all of that, Mother Urmila was making the point, it takes a lot of patience, because, in the culture of America, it would just be like, okay, why have you come? Tell me the reason, let's go, but so much patience just at taking care of this guest, making sure he's comfortable, speaking sweet words, glorifying him, and then finally asking, for what purpose have you come? And even then it's very gentle, like, if it's not a secret, please tell me. And then at the end he says, and how can we be of service to you? The Sanskrit word is kim karyam karavamate. What may we do for you? So this is also that mood of service. How can we be of service? Krishna loves to serve his devotees, as we know. Like, that's why he drives Arjuna's chariot. He, at the Rajasuya ceremony of Yudhishthir, he took the job of washing the feet of all the guests. One would think that's the lowest, like if an advanced devotee would say, okay, my job at the festival will be when people come, I'm going to line up their shoes. It's like very kind of, it seems like, oh, why would you, the most exalted person, take such a position? But Krishna really enjoys that service mood, and he sets an example for us. And then, of course, in the different pastimes of Krishna, we can see more and more of these examples. Like when Sudama comes to Dwarka, it's in great detail how Krishna has him sit on his own bedstead. And Sudama was dressed very shabbily. He had dirty, torn clothes. He was very thin. And even the queens there and the other residents of the palace were thinking, why is Krishna showing so much respect to this, thin, he doesn't, and dirty-looking Brahmana? But Krishna made him sit on his own bedstead. He personally brought all kinds of foods and drinks for him. He washed the Brahmana's feet, sprinkled that water on his own head and all over the head of his family members. Then he puts chandan on with aguru and saffron on the head of the Brahmana. And then he offered incense and arti, basically did an arti for him. In this way, he respects his guests, and particularly because Sudama is not only a Brahmana, but his dearmost friend also. And I was also thinking about the pastime of Bahulasva and Shrutadev. So in Mithila, there was a great king called King Bahulasva, and then there was a poor Brahmana called Shrutadev. And they both wanted to welcome Krishna to their home. So Krishna, being all-powerful, he manifested himself in two forms. One went to the king Bahulasva, and one went to that poor Brahmana Shrutadev. And each one of them welcomed, and Krishna was not just alone. He was with his whole, a whole retinue of sages and Brahmanas who were with Krishna, like Narada Muni and others. And each one of them respected their guests and with so much honor in the way that befitted their position. So King Bahulashva, of course, he's so rich, he's so opulent. So he welcomed his guests, he offered them nice flower garlands, sandalwood pulp, nice beautiful seats, and he gave them cows and bulls in charity. He worshipped each one of them. He fed them sumptuously. Then he massaged their lotus feet. And the poor Brahmana, Shrutadev, when all the guests came to his home, he didn't have much to offer, but you might have seen there used to be a painting here, it used to be in there, like of him, or maybe it's still there, I'm not sure, but of Madhava Priya. She drew this, painted this painting of him. He's like waving his cloth. He was so excited that Krishna's coming to my house, and he was like, in joy, he was spinning his upper cloth in the air. And he offered his guests a sitting place. He didn't have nice seats to give them. He just had some little mattresses and some wooden planks and straw carpets. But he gave them all that as best he could. And then he spoke sweetly to them. He washed their feet. He offered them some scented water, some tulsi leaves, kusha grass, lotus flowers, things that he could get easily, things that were cheap in that, in his time, his ability. And then his wife cooked very simple food, just rice and dal, because that's all they had. But Krishna and the Brahmanas accepted it, and they were so happy. And at the end, Krishna tells Shrutadev, actually, you're very blessed because all of these personalities have come to your home. And these personalities, these saintly persons who are traveling with me, they can purify the whole atmosphere just by the touch of their lotus feet. So by the influence of these great sages, one immediately becomes purified. And he gives an instruction to Shrutadev that you should accept all these great persons, brahmanas and sages, as my bona fide representatives. By worshiping them faithfully, you'll be worshiping me more diligently. I consider worship of my devotees to be better than direct worship of me. If someone attempts to worship me directly without worshiping my devotees, I do not accept such worship, even though it may be presented with great opulence. So in this story, we see the mood of culture of the king and the Brahman according to their ability. And then we also hear these instructions of Krishna about how the devotees and the Brahmanas are so dear, and the saintly persons are so dear to Krishna that if we serve them, it's just as good as serving Krishna directly. In fact, Krishna is saying here, if you worship me directly, I don't accept such worship. But if you worship through my representatives, then I accept it. So these are very important instructions. So the take-home message from this particular section for me is to learn the culture of the spiritual world and to try to practice it as best as we can in our lives. And when we're reading these Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita, to pay attention to the details. Because sometimes it's easy to just, skim through it, but to kind of pay attention. Okay, what are they doing here? What is the mood that Krishna is showing here? And what is the mood that the devotees are showing? Especially, I find that Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can really see that culture and that mood between the Vaishnavas, how they treat each other, and that mood between the Lord and his devotees. Very sweet etiquette. So the second point is Krishna likes to have exchanges with his devotees. He likes when his devotees speak and express themselves to him. Because like I said, in one way, Krishna doesn't have to hear that. He could just say, I already know, you don't have to tell me. But Krishna doesn't do that. He lets his devotees speak. He actually asks them to speak. I was thinking about the story of King Nriga in the Srimad Bhagavatam. King Nriga, he was cursed to become a lizard. And he fell into a well in Dvarka, and the sons of Krishna were on a picnic, and they saw this big lizard in the well. They tried to get it out. They couldn't do it. They came back to Krishna. Krishna came with his left hand. He easily pulled that large lizard out of the well. And the lizards, by the touch of Krishna's hand, became a beautiful golden personality with jewels and beautiful demigod, effulgent. And Krishna said to the personality, "My dear fortunate demigod, now I see that your body is so beautiful and lustrous. Who are you? We can guess that you're one of the best demigods in the heavenly planets. All good fortune to you. I think that you are not meant to be in this situation. It must be due to the results of your past activities that you are put into a species of lizard life. Still, I want to hear from you how you were put into this position." So Krishna knows, but I want to hear from you. How are you put in this position? If you think that you can disclose this secret, then please tell us your identity. Again, that secret. If you can disclose a secret, then please tell me. Actually, this large lizard was King Nriga, and when questioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he immediately bowed down before the Lord, touching to the ground the helmet on his head, which was as dazzling as the sunshine. In this way, he first offered his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord. He then said, "My dear Lord, I am King Nriga, the son of King Ikshvaku. If you've ever taken account of all charitably disposed men, I'm sure you must have heard my name. My Lord, you are the supreme witness. You're aware of every bit of work done by the living entities, past, present, and future. Nothing can be hidden from your eternal cognizance. Still, you have ordered me to explain my history, and I shall therefore narrate the full history." So this is Krishna. He likes to hear from his devotees. And why would he ask King Nriga to explain his history? One, Srila Prabhupada in the Krishna book mentions that it was for the benefit of those yadus that were with Krishna. Another I was thinking is that for King Nriga to be able to express for himself what happened, his journey, it's very powerful for the living entity to express or to understand where I've been and where I've come from, and my goal now is your service, Krishna. To be able to express it in words solidifies it for us. So Krishna is having King Nriga express it for himself. When Akrura came to Vrindavan to get Krishna and Balaram, again, Krishna and Balaram welcomed him. We saw that whole etiquette, how they took care of him so nicely. And then at the end, Krishna said, after Akrura was comfortable, "So why have you come?" And this is another case where, Krishna already knows, but he wants to hear it from his devotees. I was also thinking about how Krishna likes to hear his glories sung by his devotees. Or he likes it when his devotees pray to him. So when Dhruva was a little boy, he was so intently wanting to have Lord Vishnu's darshan. By Narada Muni's mercy, he had the beautiful vision of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu appeared in front of him. And then Lord Vishnu wanted him to speak some prayers. And Dhruva was just a 5-year-old boy. He didn't know what to say. So Vishnu put his conch shell on Dhruva's head, and suddenly eloquent words came out from his mouth. So Krishna, again, Krishna could have just, skipped that part and just come to the point. But no, he wants Dhruva to express to glorify him for our benefit, that when we glorify the Lord, that we also get benefited. When Lord Chaitanya would do his, sometimes Lord Chaitanya would come into the mood of being the Supreme Lord, and he would sit on Srivas Thakur's altar. He would put the Shalagram Shilas on his lap, and he would say, "I'm the Supreme Lord, worship me." And then he would ask different devotees in the assembly, "Srivas Pandit, glorify me." And, he would ask the devotees to offer prayers. And one may say, that sounds so, kind of proud, like, okay, glorify me. But Krishna, of course, can do that. None of us can do that. But Krishna, when Krishna says, glorify me, it's for the benefit of the devotee. And it brings such a sweet relationship. Another instance is when the Yudhishthira was feeling so guilt-ridden. He was so upset, and nothing could appease him. Even Krishna's words couldn't appease him after the battle of Kurukshetra. Yudhishthira was thinking, because of me, so many people died on the battle. So finally, what did Krishna do? He brought the Pandavas to grandfather Bhishma, who was lying on the bed of arrows. And this is not a position to speak, like give a Bhagavatam class when you're on a bed of arrows, right? And it must be the most painful experience. But Krishna gave him clarity of mind, and Bhishma, being an exalted devotee, was able to speak such beautiful words and enlighten the Pandavas and give solace to Yudhishthira. So another reason why Krishna likes to have his devotees speak is to glorify the devotees. So in this way, Bhishma is being glorified. Another instance was when in Dwarka, Krishna would come to his assembly, and people would come, messengers would come. One time a messenger came and said, there are kings that are being imprisoned by Jarasandha, and they sent you a message to come and save them. Please come immediately. At the same time, Narada Muni came and said, Yudhishthira is inviting you to the Rajasuya sacrifice. Please come for that. And Krishna's thinking, what should I do? And the people in the assembly were thinking, oh, you should take care of Jarasandha because, they wanted a fight. It says in Bhagavatam, they like that idea of the chivalrous fighting mood. But Krishna turned to Uddhava and said, Uddhava, how do I take care of this situation? On one hand, I have to go to this Rajasuya sacrifice. On the other hand, the kings are calling me to help. This is a dilemma. What should I do? Well, Krishna pretends he doesn't know, because he wants to hear from his devotees, and this way he glorifies his devotees also. And Uddhava, he gives the perfect solution. He says, I think you should do both. You can't, the Rajasuya sacrifice cannot be performed unless you conquer Jarasandha. So in order to conquer Jarasandha, you can get Bhima. He gives the whole plan of how to kill Jarasandha. And at the end, after Uddhava spoke, Krishna smiled, and he welcomed Uddhava's proposal, and everybody in the audience also welcomed the proposal. So in this way, Krishna enjoys to, for one reason is for our benefit, that we get to glorify the Lord. Another, he glorifies the devotees by hearing from them. And in Prahlad's prayers, when Prahlad was asked to pray to Lord Nrsingadev, he was feeling completely inadequate. He says in the beginning of his prayers, he said, there are Brahma, Shiva, all the great demigods are here, and they're in pure goodness. The words come out of their mouth like beautiful flowing, words of the Ganges, and I am born in a low family. I have no qualifications. How can I glorify the Lord? Then he remembers, actually, Krishna is not attracted by, intelligence and eloquence and strength and beauty and all these things. Krishna is attracted by bhakti. And the proof of that is Gajendra. Gajendra was just an elephant. But he held up a lotus flower and tried his best to pray to the Lord. So after, considering these points, finally, Prahlad says, Tasmadaham vikata viklava ishvarasya sarvatmana mahigrinam yatam anisham nicho jaya gunavisarga manu pravishta puyeta yena hipuman anuvarnitena. Therefore, I am going to give up this conception of being unfit. And I'm going to chant according to my intelligence, to the best of my abilities, yata manisham. I'm going to try to glorify the Lord. Because even though I'm born in a low family and I don't have qualifications, I'm going to try my best. Because the last line, puyeta yena hi puman anuvarnitena. Anyone who glorifies the Lord, puyeta, becomes purified. Just by chanting the Lord's glories, we become purified. So I'm just going to try my best with what I can do. That's also like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that birds fly as far as their capacity. Like smaller birds can only fly so far. Big hawks can fly really high in the air. So according to our capacity, we try to glorify the Lord, and it's for our purification. And Krishna also enjoys to hear that expression of love. So for the take-home message that came to me from this aspect of it is that when we're reading again Srimad Bhagavatam, to pay attention to the expressions of love that the devotees are showing to Krishna, repeat those prayers, and also express our own heart to Krishna. This may be something that we may be hesitant to do, feeling like, oh, I'm not, I don't know what to say. But if we think that Krishna is our best friend, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, and he already knows, of course, what's going on in our life. But if we talk to him, if we, share our heart with him, he likes to hear that, because that creates a relationship. A relationship means sharing, right? Like Rupa Goswami says, Guyam Akyati Prichati, sharing. So if we share our heart with Krishna, even our struggles, our desires, everything, Krishna enjoys that we're turning to him, we're trying to develop a relationship with him. So those were two aspects of, one was Krishna establishing the culture, and the other was Krishna liking to hear the expressions of devotion from the mouths of his devotees. And the third one was how Krishna, when he comes to this world, he likes to forget that he's God. So here again, Krishna is taking shelter of his Leela Shakti potency. So that means he willingly comes under the potency of Yoga Maya so that he can really forget that he is God, that he's all cognizant. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes it very clear, I know everything, past, present, and future. Sarvasya chaham riddhi sanivishto. I'm the one who cause remembrance and forgetfulness for the living entities. And I know everything. You forget, he says to Arjuna, but I never forget. But then in Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a level higher where we get to see how Krishna, even though he's all cognizant, he likes to come in under that Leela Shakti potency to have his exchanges with the devotees. And the greatest example of this was, not greatest, but one of the examples of this was the Aghasura story, where all the cowherd boys are marching into the mouth of Aghasura. And Krishna's thinking, oh my goodness, what do I do now? All my friends are going in, and I don't know what to do. In the Bhagavatam verse it says, Krishna saw that all the cowherd boys, who did not know anyone but him as their Lord, had now gone out of his hand and were helpless, having entered like straws into the fire of the abdomen of Aghasura, who was death personified. It was intolerable for Krishna to be separated from his friends, the cowherd boys. So just like the devotees, it's intolerable for them to be separated from Krishna, for Krishna, it's intolerable also to be separated from his devotees. Therefore, as if seeing that this had been arranged by his internal potency, Krishna was momentarily struck with wonder and unsure of what to do. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur kind of goes a little more into depth of how what thoughts are going through Krishna's mind. Krishna was astonished at the actions of his Leela Shakti, or of time, in having them enter the serpent's mouth. What was the cause of the astonishment? And Krishna is saying, it's not possible for these coward boys to have prarabdha karma. And besides, the super soul does not give them the tendency for karma, because super soul is my expansion and would not do anything unfavorable to me. So it's not prarabdha karma, it's not the super soul, because I'm the super soul, and because Krishna is going through all these thoughts. And therefore, it must be Leela Shakti, the potency that makes this unfavorable arrangement with a desire to put me, full of prema, into compassionate mood, karuna ras. How astonishing is her control over me, the form of all rasas, the king of all Leela, Leela Purushottama. So through sorrow due to separation from his friends, though sorrow due to separation from his friends remained, with the rise of astonishment, Vishmaya bhava, it reduced a little. So this is the beautiful intricacies of Krishna's pastimes, how he willingly sometimes forgets and goes through all these kind of thought processes because he loves to enjoy that experience of the bliss of his leelas. So I'll end here and ask if anyone would like to add anything or yes, yeah. Leela Shakti is Leela Shakti. Somebody may think that Leela Shakti is superior to Krishna. How do we deal with that? Well, as we know from Bhagavatam, Krishna is the source of all his energies. The energies come from him, and Krishna is willingly placing himself. It's just like an actor on a stage, like an actor on a stage becomes completely absorbed in the role, and it's almost like a potency comes over them where they forget who they really are. They just become completely absorbed, and so it's not that they are really, it's not that they are under the control of that drama or put under a spell in a certain way, but the main thing is that they willingly go through that process to enjoy that exchange. But maybe Maharaj would like to add something to that. Well, how is it that Leela Shakti is, how can we understand that? Yeah. Yes. Right. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yes, that's a good, thank you so much, Maharaj. So Maharaj is making the point that Leela Shakti serves Krishna. Krishna willingly comes under it. And that beautiful example of how Ram and Lakshman were under the Naga Pasha weapon, and they were, everyone was so concerned, and it looked like there was no way to get out. Of course, if at any time they could get out, but they wanted to invoke that mood of compassion in the devotees. Yeah, that's a very, very nice example. So, also when Lakshman was, there was a time where Ram was also grieving, right? When Lakshman fell on the battlefield. So Ram was also pretending that, what do we do? Lakshman is injured, right? So they had to depend on Hanuman. Yeah. So it's a voluntary thing that Krishna does so that he can enjoy these pastimes, and the devotees can exchange that relationship. Yeah. Voluntary amnesia. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Marhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Lasyan Dipan Dikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Namaho Vishnu Pajaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Saminiti Kamane Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Vajane, Nivesesha, Shunyavati, Matsyachati Satarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Nanda Jiya Dvaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaurata Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jiya Dvaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Shiva Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare looking on, Hare looking on, Hare. Naya, Raga Goloka, Goloka, Ragate. Naya, Rate, Rade, Rade, Rade. Naya, Radhe, Radhe, Naya, Radhe, Naya, Radhe. Sri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnupad. Shrimati Lasi Devi Gajai. Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru Gauranga Shila Prabhupada.
Take the Dharmana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagi Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swaranam. Thank you for dressing. Nam Namakar Tatrapidani Amita Smarnena Kala Etad Krishita Vakipa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjanina Nuraga Trinada Pisitena Tarora Pisuhishuna Mamanina Madadena Kirtaniya Sadari Adana Sundarim Kavitam Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoita Kitwai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabata Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashru Daraya Vadanam Gadgadaridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahena Me Ashlishya Vapadaritam Manastumam Atarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatatava Vidadatu Lampato Mat Prananatastu Saivanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan. which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can enroll benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by the holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, feeling moment to be like 12 years or more, tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shastastika Ki